Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never.
President Biden in Poland tonight after visiting Ukraine yesterday.
Biden's visit came as Russian President Vladimir Putin was announcing he is suspending his country's participation in the last remaining arms control treaty with the U.S. He is accusing the West of starting and sustaining the war in Ukraine. He's arguing that he is trying to rescue the people of Ukraine from their government.
UC Berkeley political science professor Steve Fish joins us now live to talk more about this. Let's start with that right there with Putin withdrawing or at least suspending the arms control agreement with the United States. And we understand that an ICBM missile was fired during Biden's speech over Ukraine, which apparently that missile test failed. Are we seeing a renewed Cold War era kind of arms race that could be beginning between the United States, the West, and Russia?
Ken, we're way past a Cold War. This is a much hotter war than anything we were involved in during the Cold War. In fact, relations with Russia are much more tense than they were then. Look, Putin withdrawing from this arms control treaty doesn't mean this much. This has been a dead letter for some time. What's more, in the long run, Russia has an interest in entering into arms control negotiations with the U.S. because they can't possibly keep up with the United States in a nuclear arms race. For now, though, any kind of talk of nuclear arms control or any kind of negotiation with Russia, of course, isn't going to go anywhere.
The president has claimed some of the credit, as you know, Professor, for helping the Ukraine resist the Russian invasion. He's certainly underlining that again today. Meantime, there is some question, even in Congress, as to the price tag here and whether we can afford it. So is Ukraine a major plus for the Biden administration?
It's a huge plus for the United States. The fact is that whatever money we give them is a pittance. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what they're doing for us. They are guarding the security of Europe, of our allies, and ultimately our security, and indeed the whole global order. The United States is getting a real bargain for whatever we're sending to them. And it's crucial that Biden do what he's doing now, which is say that we're in this for the long run. That signals to our allies that he's in charge. It's a good signal to the Ukrainians as well. It's good for morale. Frankly, though, I think he needs to bring that message home, Catherine, going on your point, and he needs to make the case to the American people. Right now, it looks like public opinion is pretty solid for the war. But the fact is you've got Donald Trump out there who's basically on Putin's side. And if he were in office right now, of course, Ukraine could probably already be under Russia's control. And Russia could be planning on invading Poland. Biden needs to take this case to the American people. First thing he needs to do is basically tell us, here's what it's going to cost us, here's why it's worth it, and we've got to stay with this for as long as it takes. This is a bargain for us. Second of all, he has to remind the public of what it would be like if Trump were in office right now. Ron DeSantis, who looks like the only guy who could possibly beat Trump right now in the primaries, is starting to sound a little like Trump and Tucker Carlson, a little pro-Putin. That's extremely dangerous for this effort. I can tell you, it seems like a long way to us. Ways away to us, the presidential election. But the Ukrainians and Europeans are already worried about it because the only thing that could beat the Ukrainians now is Trump or DeSantis.
You know, it's interesting when you talk about the President Biden making his case. I mean, as long as this war continues, all of Russia's resources are being drained by this war. So it really affects their ability to get involved in other places. But at the same time, we're hearing about maybe China stepping in. North Korea apparently has already been helping, but China in particular getting more directly involved by supporting Russia. Is that a real threat?
It is a real threat, and it would be a disaster. And I hope the Biden administration is being as tough with Xi Jinping and the Chinese as he's been with Russia. And I'm confident that he has. Biden is actually handling these dictators incredibly skillfully. When you really think about what this guy has done over the last year to unite the Western alliance, which had been on its back and demoralized after the Trump years, to get people to sacrifice for this war effort, to support the Ukrainians like he has, it's really been remarkable. In fact, he's united not only Europe, but the whole democratic world behind this effort. So he's actually done a magnificent job. Now, of course, it's up to him to make his case public to us. It's also up to Republicans, the patriotic wing of the party, if it still exists, to get behind Biden and make it clear, to signal that they are in this for the long run as well.
All right, Professor, we are apparently out of time. That went by very quickly. We should be talking to you again. Thank you very much. That is
Anytime,
UC
Catherine.
Berkeley political science professor Steve Fish. Thank you, Professor.
A pleasure.